Listen closely, because what you're about to hear is not hype, it's not a promise, and it's not financial advice. It's a perspective that most people never stop long enough to consider. Right now, XRP is back in the conversation, not because of a flashy headline, not because of a wild price candle, but because something deeper is happening beneath the surface. And when markets shift quietly, that's usually when people miss the most important moments. For the next few minutes, forget the noise. Forget the thumbnail screaming numbers. Forget anyone telling you they know exactly what will happen next. Instead, ask yourself one simple question. Why does XRP keep coming back into the spotlight every time the conversation turns to real-world finance? Before we go any further, if you value clear, grounded discussions about crypto without hype or fear, take a second and hit the like button. It helps this content reach people who are tired of noise. And if you want more calm, informed conversations like this, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what comes next. Now let's talk. XRP has always existed in an uncomfortable space. It's not fully embraced by crypto purists, and it's not fully adopted by traditional finance either. That middle ground is exactly why it keeps surviving. While many projects chase trends, XRP has stayed focused on one thing: moving value efficiently across borders. That might not sound exciting, but excitement isn't what changes financial systems. Reliability does. The reason XRP news feels different right now isn't because of one announcement or one rumor. It's because the environment around it is changing. Regulation is evolving, payment infrastructure is being questioned, and institutions are under pressure to move money faster, cheaper, and with more transparency. For years, people asked whether crypto would ever be taken seriously by banks. Now the question is, which crypto fits into systems that already exist? That's a very different conversation. XRP wasn't built to replace banks. It was built to work with them. That single design choice has shaped everything that followed, including the criticism, the legal scrutiny, and the patience required to keep building through uncertainty. Markets don't reward patience quickly. They test it over and over again. If you've watched XRP for a long time, you already know what that feels like. Long periods of silence, sudden bursts of attention, then silence again. Many people confuse that pattern with failure. In reality, it's often the pattern of infrastructure being built quietly. Think about the internet in the early days. Think about mobile payments before smartphones became normal. Adoption didn't look dramatic at first. It looked slow, boring, and fragmented. Until it wasn't. XRP's relevance comes from the problem it addresses. Cross-border payments are still inefficient. They're slow, they're expensive, they're fragmented. That hasn't changed, no matter how many apps we use every day. When people hear XRP news, they often expect a price reaction, but price is the last thing to respond. Systems change first, behavior changes next, price reacts later. That order matters. Another reason this moment feels different is because crypto markets themselves are maturing. The early days were dominated by speculation and speed. Today, conversations are shifting towards sustainability, compliance, and real-world use. That shift doesn't favor every project equally. It favors the ones that can survive scrutiny. XRP has been scrutinized more than most, publicly, for years. That process forced clarity where many projects avoided it, and clarity, while uncomfortable, is valuable. This doesn't mean XRP is guaranteed success. Nothing is guaranteed in markets, but survival through pressure is not meaningless. One thing that often goes unnoticed is how institutions think about risk. They don't chase upside the way individuals do. They manage downside. They ask what can go wrong before they ask what can go right. Assets that can operate within defined risk frameworks tend to stay relevant longer than those built purely on speculation. XRP fits into that mindset more naturally than many realize. Now, let's address something important. When people say XRP shock, that doesn't have to mean price. Shock can mean attention. It can mean a shift in narrative. It can mean a moment where people reassess what they thought they understood. Markets are psychological before they're mathematical. The biggest shifts often happen when expectations change, not when numbers move. Right now, expectations around XRP are quietly being re-examined. Not loudly, not emotionally, quietly. That's usually how real change starts. If you've made it this far, stay with me, because this isn't about convincing you of anything. It's about helping you see the full picture instead of just the loudest part. And again, if this kind of breakdown helps you think more clearly, like the video video and subscribe. It genuinely helps keep this kind of content alive. Most people experience markets through charts. Very few experience them through structure. Charts show outcomes. Structure explains behavior. XRP structure was designed for throughput, speed, and cost efficiency. Those aren't speculative features. They're operational ones. As global finance becomes more digital, operational efficiency matters more, not less. At the same time, uncertainty remains. Competition is intense. Technology evolves. Regulation continues to shift. Anyone pretending those risks don't exist isn't being honest. But ignoring strengths because progress is slow isn't honest either. The truth usually lives between extremes. XRP's story isn't about a single day. It's about persistence in an environment that punishes impatience. It's about existing long enough for the conversation to catch up to the technology. Tomorrow may bring headlines, or it may not. Either way, the underlying systems keep moving, and that's the part most people miss. This space rewards people who can stay calm while others rush to conclusions. It rewards understanding over urgency. If you're here looking for certainty, you won't find it. If you're here looking for clarity, you're in the right place. This is just the beginning of the conversation, because once you start looking beyond surface level price action, you begin to notice patterns that don't show up on a daily chart. Markets are not random, but they are complex, and complexity often looks like chaos to people who are only watching one layer at a time. XRP exists at the intersection of several layers at once: technology, regulation, finance, and psychology, and that's why it continues to attract attention even during quiet periods. One of the biggest misunderstandings around XRP is the belief that if something truly mattered, price would immediately reflect it. That idea feels intuitive, but history repeatedly shows it's wrong. Price is reactive, not proactive. It responds after positioning, after adoption signals, after confidence begins to shift. By the time price makes a clear move, the conversation has already changed underneath. Think about how institutions approach new technology. They don't announce interest the moment they start evaluating something. They test quietly, they run pilots, they assess risk, they watch how a system behaves under pressure. All of that happens long before anything becomes visible to the public. By the time something becomes obvious, it's often already well underway. This is why sudden moments of attention around XRP feel confusing. People ask, why now? Why is this being talked about again? And the honest answer is usually that it never stopped being discussed where it actually matters. It just wasn't being discussed loudly. Noise and importance are not the same thing. In crypto, loud narratives often dominate short-term attention, but they fade quickly. Quiet narratives last longer because they're tied to function, not excitement. XRP has lived in that quiet zone for a long time, and that has shaped how it's perceived. Another layer people underestimate is trust. Financial systems are built on trust more than technology. Technology enables speed and efficiency, but trust enables scale. XRP's journey through public scrutiny forced it to address trust questions directly, in ways many projects never had to. That process wasn't optional, it was imposed. But being forced to operate under a microscope can either break a project or strengthen it. XRP chose to keep building. From an American market perspective, this matters. The US financial system is deeply interconnected, heavily regulated, and cautious by design. Any technology that wants to integrate with it must demonstrate stability over time. Flashy innovation alone isn't enough. This is also why narratives around overnight success are misleading. Real integration takes years, and during those years, progress often looks like nothing is happening at all. Now let's talk about market psychology, because this is where most people struggle. Humans are wired to seek certainty. Markets offer none. That mismatch creates anxiety, and anxiety drives impulsive decisions. When people feel uncertain, they look for confident voices.